Okay guys, my wonky computer is wonky, so I have this app on my iPad to try to do some tutoring. So let's go over a couple of things real fast. This is not like the best app in the world, but we'll make do, right? So microscope, the parts of really what I want you to understand about the microscope is kind of how total magnification works. And what that means is if you're looking at a sample under, here, like let's say it's a hair, and this is a hair, boom, how do you know what the total magnification is? And basically it's eyepiece times the objective lens. So the eyepiece is always 10 times, and the objectives come in 3 sizes. Remember, 3 flavors, 4, 10, and 40, like that. And so if you're looking at it under the highest power, 10 times 40 is 400 times, like that. So that's total magnification. The way you find it out is eyepiece times objective lens. So that's the first thing. The next thing, let's erase this here. The next thing you need to know about the microscope is a couple of different parts. So make sure you know, this stinks, this thing. What do you think of the yellow? Horrible. Actually could change it, but maybe I'll change it. But the parts. Nose piece is the thing that holds the 3 objectives. So you actually spin your nose piece around to change the objective lenses. So that's called a nose piece. And the only other dude I want you to know is that there's a coarse adjustment versus a fine adjustment knob. And the coarse adjustment knob is the one that focuses very quickly, very fast, and is used for just quick adjustments. And the fine adjustment is when you have it under the highest power. When you have it under high power, you use the fine adjustment to focus. Okay? Great. All right. Let's see here. Okay, let's try a different background here. And let's tutor a little bit on sugar regulation. So we have on our website, if you go, look, this actually writes on the wood. That's awesome. Sugar regulation. If you go to our website, you can actually see the diagram that we had on our slideshow. So you can actually do that. But here I'll go over some of the stuff, and I hope it fits on here. But let's start with. Let's say if your body had high blood sugar, and we'll abbreviate that. Oh, no. If I had high blood sugar, what are the effects? So if your body, this is if like you had breakfast or a delicious cupcake, your body's full of sugar. The blood is full of sugar. But that doesn't mean there's any glucose or sugar in your cells. That means it's in your blood. The brain gets stimulated, and the brain actually tells the pancreas what to do. And so the pancreas is the one that is working. Now the pancreas, with high blood sugar, the effect of high blood sugar is that it makes insulin. Okay, so you can actually look this up in your notes, and you can see we drew it with solid lines, the insulin. And insulin actually causes your blood sugar to go down, but you have to understand the reasons why. The first reason why is that insulin is a hormone which allows your cells, here's a cell, to actually intake sugar. So if you don't have enough insulin, the sugar is still in your blood but doesn't enter your cells. So insulin is like the instructions for your cell to let this glucose enter. Okay? If there were no insulin, then the cell wouldn't intake the sugar. So the first reason blood sugar goes down is because the cells absorb. It makes the cells absorb. So remember, insulin's the instructions for the cells to absorb that sugar. So since it absorbs all that sugar, your blood sugar, your BS, decreases. Okay? So your blood sugar goes low. That's reason number 1. Now, after that, you have leftover sugar. Your cells are all taking in and making ATP and getting enough energy. Then there's excess sugar. Insulin also instructs excess sugar to be changed from glucose glucose gets changed to glycogen. Glycogen is a bunch of glucose put together in a long polymer, a long chain. And so glycogen is our stored sugar. This all happens in the liver, and when it gets stored, it makes your blood sugar, or your BS, also decreased. You get it? So blood sugar goes down because of this, and because of this. Whoa, I can't circle on this thing. Cool. Now, let's change colors here. See if we can make blue. That's good. Alright. So let's start down here. If your blood sugar is low, that also stimulates the pancreas to make another hormone. This hormone is glucagon. And glucagon is the hormone that instructs glycogen to break up back into glucose. And it breaks up back into glucose, and once you have a lot of glucose, that goes back into your blood, and you end up having high blood sugar again. And the cycle continues. If you have high blood sugar, then the pancreas gets stimulated to make insulin. So that's how we regulate our blood sugar. Cool? Beans, man. Let me pause. Oh, BKB. So here, I changed boards. I don't like the green board. Let's do cell membrane a little bit. And so what we talked about in cell membrane was mostly what it's made up of and how it transports materials. So first of all, know that it's a phospholipid bilayer. And if you phospholipid bilayer, and the reason it's called that is because it's composed of a bunch of phospholipids. This dude right here is a phospholipid. It's made of a phosphorus head, this is a phosphorus head, and a lipid tail. Okay? But all you need to know is this right here, that the cell membrane is composed of lipids, which is one of our organic molecules. So, these guys hang out together. If you remember, we drew them as one like that. Tail, 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 and so on and so forth. And then they hang out with another set that hangs out this way. Tail, 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 tail. And you get the double layer. Like here's, let's use this highlighter. Here's layer 1, here's layer 2. And so this becomes a double layer. So that's the phospholipid bilayer. Okay. Now things can pass through here, which means this membrane is semi-permeable. Semi-permeable. A membrane that's semi-permeable allows some things to enter and exit the membrane. If things are too large, like starch, they won't go in. But if stuff is small enough, like glucose, it will diffuse in. Okay, so things that don't pass in are large. Okay. Alright, so diffusion, active transport, and osmosis. All three of these discussed how things enter and exit our body. So diffusion, which was movement of molecules from high to low. Active transport was the movement of particles from low to high. And osmosis was the movement of water from an area of low concentration of materials to an area of high concentration. Oh, that was a terrible low picture. I'm sorry. I should have just drawn one dot. But basically, the thing is osmosis. Water will always move to where there's more stuff. Okay, just remember that. So the water always flows to where there's more particles, where there's more salt, where there's more dirt. Okay? So let's start with the first one. Basically, if you had a semi-permeable membrane like this, that's our before, and that's our after, with stuff moving this way. In active transport, if we had a semi-permeable membrane between two things, our before is like this, and our after is like this, where this little particle moves this way. Okay? And osmosis, we'd have to draw water levels to show you. So we'll draw water, water. This one's really dirty. This one has 2 pieces of dirt. And basically, as water will always flow to where there's more stuff. So this goes way up high, and this one stays low. So 2 dots stay there, and a bunch of dots stay here. Now, how come the dots didn't move? Well, that would be diffusion. They didn't move because they're too large to move through this membrane. Okay, they're too big. But the water's small enough, so the water flows through. And now these two have the same concentration, so they're happy. So you have to know the word concentration, which is the amount of particles, concentration, amount of particles in a given amount of water or amount of something. Okay, so those are the 3 that you need to know. And the last thing we'll do is a little photosynthesis cellular respiration. So we talked about the leaf. This is where photosynthesis takes place. You have to know where it happens and some other key structures. So the main thing in the leaf, we did a cross-section picture. We said that there are cells at the top that are lipidy, they're waxy, and this is to prevent water from entering. So this is a waterproof layer. That's the first thing you need to know. The second thing is that the cells with the most chloroplasts are found right underneath the leaf. So if I look at one of these, I will see an organelle called a chloroplast. And the chloroplast is where photosynthesis occurs. Under that, we drew a vein just to show you that this is where plants transport water from the roots. And the last thing is we left a little gap in the bottom layer of cells like this, and that's called the stomate or stomata. But the stomate is the stomate is like where they breathe. So this is where water enters where water exits. Like if it's rained for a week, this is where a plant sweats out its water. Okay? So that's water exits and CO2 enters. So you need to know that. And the reason you know that, the reason you know this one is because you know plants need CO2 because you know the formula for photosynthesis, which we'll do now. So photosynthesis formula. Oops. Sorry. Photosynthesis formula. You just have to remember what plants need to survive. So I know that they need water, they need to breathe, and they need sun. But I'm going to put it on the arrow here. And what do? Well, they're awesome at making sugar, C6H12O6. What else do they make? They make oxygen as waste. Yay! And that's it. So these 2 things become these 2 things. Now cellular respiration, which we'll draw in blue over here, let's do it in purple. Cellular respiration is the same thing but backwards. It's opposite. So this is what our cells do, and plant cells by the way, but we do C6H12O6, yum, that means glucose, plus we breathe, and what we do is we make these 3, sort of. We don't make sun, but we make water. The formula makes water. We make CO2 as waste. And instead of sun, we make ATP, which is the molecule, you remember, that we use for energy. ATP is used for energy. And that's photosynthesis and cellular respiration. And I think I'll stop my tutoring there because I've blabbed long enough. Let me know what you think of this app. If it's cool, I'll use it from now on. Whatever works for you best. That concludes all tutoring. Good luck, guys.